New York, New York, what's up, New York? Listen, we in New York, right? This is hip hop. This is hip hop.
It's your host, Mr. CEO, and today on Crash the Industry, we're thrilled to welcome a powerhouse who's transforming lives and shattering glass ceilings. Sue Fearless, as the visionary CEO and founder of Fearless Women, Sue has dedicated her career to uplifting and empowering women through mindset, coaching, trauma recovery, and professional development. A Latina trailblazing and a survivor of domestic violence, Sue's personal journey fuels her mission to help women reclaim their power and achieve financial independence. She's not just a leader, she's a mentor, community builder, and a voice of inspiration, from curating high-profile events and running international business ventures to hosting her hit podcast, Sip Fearlessly. Sue Fearless proves that there are no limits when you lead with purpose and passion. Let's dive into her incredible story and learn how she's changing the game one fearless step at a time. Welcome to Crash the Industry. How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for that intro. Wow.
I tried to do a little research.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. I'm trying to compete with Shay Shay. So, Fearless Women has helped so many people transform their lives. What was the pivotal moment in your journey that inspired you to create this organization?
Whew, that's a great question. So I, as you mentioned, I am a domestic violence survivor. And at the time, I felt like I didn't have anyone really to turn to get support in that, space, and where I felt I could be vulnerable, except for family, of course. But no one that could really help me, or, me find my tribe, my group of people that can help me throughout that time. So I decided to become that for myself. And it took a lot of, soul searching. It took a lot of, healing from pain and things like that to be able to bring me out of that state of mind, that depressive state of mind that I was going through that time. So because of that, I decided that I wanted to start something. I didn't know what it was, but I wanted to start something that was a hub, that was a tribe for women. Not only who went through domestic violence, but also women who were just going through a lot of challenges in their life, whether it was homelessness, whether it was, addiction, whether it was former incarceration, just helping them heal from the trauma and learn how to take back control over their life. So that's where that came from. I didn't know what I was going to call it, but at the time I was kind of scared to put my business out on Front Street, and social media was just coming up during that time. So I wanted to create a name because I needed to find my community. So I wanted to create a name that, my partner at the time wouldn't be able to find out about. So one day I just had this epiphany, and it was Fearless Women, and, it just took off from there. Just to tell you a real quick story, shout out to Kev, he's in the building. He was actually one of the first people who interviewed me and gave me the opportunity to share my story. And, once he did that, that was major for me, because that same day I had gone through something, and I still had to muster up the courage to go and speak on camera for like one of my first times. And after that, he sat me down and he was like, "You have an incredible story, maybe you should do a show." So all of that grew from my experience, what I had gone through. So I turned pain to purpose, as they say. So, yeah.
So did you go to therapy to help get you through this, or was building this business was this your therapy?
Great question. So this was my therapy. Building my business was my therapy. Connecting with other women was my therapy. But I do encourage people to go and seek therapy. Absolutely. I think therapy is very important because we don't have all the answers to what we need to do in our life. And sometimes it gets so hard, and if we don't have anyone to talk to, it's good to have someone to just at least let it out.
You know, Charlemagne always speaks about this, and he always says in our community, it's like therapy is something that's shunned upon. And I think that's something like even I have spoken to my wife about maybe going to therapy at some point, because there's a lot of past traumas that we don't even realize are still affecting us.
Absolutely. And we're carrying them in every relationship, friendship, everything we encounter, we're carrying
And
those
you're just
past
carrying
traumas.
it on and on. So your work spans trauma recovery, professional development, and entrepreneurship. How do you balance and address the immediate emotional needs while you're preparing women for long-term success?
Ooh, love that question. So before you can even think about focusing on what you want to do, whether it's your career, whether it's a business, you have to make sure that your mindset is in the right place, right? So that's why my work combines the two, because I can sit down and talk to anybody about business, but if they are not in a good place personally in their life, then how can they get their mind to focus, right? We've talked a little bit about that with artists and things like that, right? Your mindset has to be in that place where you have come to a point where you believe in yourself so hard that no matter what circumstances you're going through, what challenges you're facing, you're still going to push through and you're going to push hard and bet on yourself to achieve that goal. So before I can even dive into any business conversations, we talk about mindset first. So that's how I'm able to balance it.
So you kind of touched on the next question I was going to ask. As a survivor of domestic violence, how do you guide others to heal from their own trauma while maintaining your own emotional resilience?
Ooh. It's not easy because a lot of conversations are triggering. So I just make sure that on a daily basis, I'm doing what I need to do for me as well, whether it's going to therapy, whether it's having my focus group, and I'm making sure I'm pouring into myself first and then going out and having these conversations. But even when it gets tough and, certain conversations trigger me, I just make sure that I have, I put healthy boundaries in place. So if it gets to a point where it's too triggering, then, I'll, step away from it and have some of my other colleagues work on it and things like that. But I make sure that my mental state is always, as positive and healed as it can be, so I can come through for that person the proper way that they need me to.
It's funny that we met you recently because for years, my wife has been saying she wants to get a tattoo. And I'm like, don't get no tattoo. And what would you get? And for years, she says, it's how I live my life. I got to be fearless. And it's so funny that you come into our life and you have a company named Fearless. So with that being said, Fearless International Agency curates opportunities globally, including residencies and collaborations. What do you think it takes for someone to truly excel on a global stage?
Right. Well, shout out to Natalia. Get that tattoo, girl. Yes. But Fearless International Agency. Shout out to Bakila also, who is going to be our global brand sponsor for our Dubai project this year. But Fearless International Agency was founded thanks to my business partner, Excel. Shout out to Excel. He founded Global VIP Experience, which is a travel experience. So we are a global travel agency, and we're bringing folks from all around the country who want to start visiting places outside of this country to travel abroad internationally. Not only are we bringing folks who want to travel internationally and travel in luxury and enjoy adventure, but we're also bringing artists, entertainers who want to expand their portfolios, who want to be able to get potential residencies in other countries, who want to be able to get sponsorship and also just notoriety in different countries, right? A lot of artists put music out and sometimes they don't check their analytics, right? There could be many people in other countries listening to their music. So we want to give them that exposure and manage them on that level internationally outside of what they're doing in this country already. In addition to that, we also held our business symposium, which on the business perspective, we're also sharing information on how you can invest internationally, how you can get your citizenship internationally, and how you can invest in real estate. So we cover all of those components when we embark on this journey. So we just came back. We were there this past October.
That was the Dubai trip?
That was the Dubai trip.
I heard about that.
Yes, yes. So we welcome, anybody who's interested in coming. Even if you're not, an artist, entertainer, or want to do any business ventures, just come. We had a great time. There's so much to do out there. Definitely luxury. I love to enjoy luxury. So for those who want to, you can definitely come. But it's a great project. We're going back coming October 2025. So we will.
My birthday's in October, so.
There you
we
go.
could talk to the boss.
Another
and make
October
it happen.
birthday, yes. Yeah, so come with us. We had our headlining artist, which was Vina Love.
Okay.
She came out with us. She was exceptional. We were able to get her on the Dubai Eye 103.8 in Dubai. That's the radio station. We were able to get her on Dubai One TV as well. She did a live performance. Also, shout out to our team out there, Sean, who runs Barco Studio, which is a huge studio compound in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
So she was able to record out of there as well. We were able to do a live stream performance out of there. Shout out to our other artists who came also, Maestro. And shout out to our team as well, Diamond, Leanne. But yeah, just doing amazing things. We're about to hit the road again because we do go visit several cities to talk about the project and to connect with folks who want to have that conversation in person. So we're about to embark on that. So yeah, we're very excited. Very excited.
We got a lot to talk off screen. We
Yes.
have to talk about some things.
Yes.
So your podcast, Sit Fearlessly, highlights creativity and entrepreneurs. What is the most inspiring story or lesson you've encountered through these conversations?
So thank you for bringing up Sit Fearlessly. That is a project that's special to me as well because I do it with my sister, who I just met like 3 or 4 years ago. We share the same dad. So it's incredible to now be on this journey with her. And for those who don't know, SIP stands for Sisters in Power. So we wanted to bring a platform where we're empowering each other, but also where there's a lot of storytelling. So we wanted to focus on anyone who has a business, who is an artist, who is an entertainer, or who just has a story. We wanted to provide that platform so they can come and share their story and can empower others, right? Because there's a lot of times where, we're feeling defeated. We're feeling like, I can never make it to where I want to make it to. But when we listen to these stories and we hear from all the places that these people have come from and how much they've grown and all the controversy and, challenges they have gone through, it's incredible to see. And it definitely gives us motivation because I know it gives us motivation. So my favorite story, I don't have a favorite story. They're all great. Yeah, they're all great. We did have Ms. Erica Ford last week, who is launching a book. I'm horrible. I'm going to forget the name of the book. The Peace Doctor's Playbook. Peace Doctor's Playbook. But tap into her because she does a lot of community work with the youth on gun prevention, gun violence prevention, and things like that. So, her mission is leading from the heart, and that's something that I love. So, but everyone that has been on the show has been amazing.
Okay, so one last question. You've coached over 600 small business owners. What are the most common challenges they face, and how do you help them overcome these obstacles?
The biggest challenge, they don't understand the business formation. They don't understand fully. And that's okay, because when I started, I also had to teach myself these things, but they don't understand what an LLC is, what an S Corp is, what a corporation is, what a sole proprietorship is, a partnership, none of that. They don't put contracts together when they're working with other people, so if something happens, they don't have legal backing. They don't understand the legalities behind each business formation, how some do cover your personal assets and some don't. They don't understand the tax implications on, each of those business formations. So that has been the biggest challenge for me because they are spending so much money paying the IRS back at the end of the year.
When they should be getting back.
When they should be getting back, or they should be deducting more expenses that they can't deduct and they're not aware of. So that has been the biggest challenge. And, a lot of businesses have closed because of that, a lot of small businesses. So that has been something that I have fully been focusing on. And I'm actually going to have my own tax business pretty soon because I became so passionate about it that now I'm like, no.
Listen,
if you guys want to see a tax person, come to me.
Even though I know I'm guilty of not doing a lot of things I'm supposed to do with my company. And sometimes I'll speak to Kev and he's like, let's just put this together. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to do it. And you know what I do? 3 months later, we should talk. We should call Kev about this.
Right.
And it's just certain things. So I'm gonna do one more question. As a Latina CEO and advocate, how do you see your heritage and culture shaping your leadership style and the communities you serve?
Oh, I love that question. So I was talking earlier about leaving the corporate industry. One of the main reasons why I left the corporate industry was because I was a Latina and I was different. When I started my corporate career in accounting and finance, I was one of the few people that looked like me, right? I was one of the few people that had curly hair. Was one of the few people that was Latina in the room. So that was a big issue for me because there was a culture clash. So as a Latina, I, empowered myself by learning everything that I needed to learn in that industry, leave it and take that and make something of myself, which is why I got into coaching and I started my coaching business. So as a Latina, I want to continue to break those barriers, and I want Latina women Latinos in general to show up and represent for their, for our heritage, and just know that we can take up space. Anywhere we go, we can take up space. We don't have to act like anyone else, be like anyone else. We can take up space just being who we are as Latinos. And I'm very, proud to be here in the Bronx. Like I was sharing with you, I was born in the Bronx, grew up in Washington Heights, but moved back to the Bronx when I had my children. So I've been here for a long time, and I'm very proud to see everything that everyone's doing here in the Bronx, also BronxNet, and how we're representing for our people. So it's very important for me to represent.
Before we get out of here, talk about your liquor brand and give them your information, how they can reach you online.
Yes. So again, shout out to Vodkila. I am an ambassador for them. It is not my brand, but it's amazing. It is vodka and tequila infused, and this is one of their newer bottles, and incredible. It tastes amazing. They are a sponsor for our Dubai project, so definitely check them out. They are in a lot of locations, so you can purchase them. But if you need them, you can holler at me. And where you guys can find me, my page is Sue Fearless, S-U-E, Fearless. Fearless International Agency is the agency that manages the artists that we're taking internationally. Global VIP Experience is the platform for the Global International Concierge. SIP Fearlessly, S-I-P, Fearlessly is our podcast, and Fearless Women is my organization.
Thank you so much. Shout out to every one of her companies and partners, and we're going to take it away with you in the back.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back to Crash the Industry, and today I'm excited to welcome a true media powerhouse, Kevin Pryor, better known as 950 Kev, the LeBron James of the radio game. With over 20 years of experience in media advertising, Kevin has worked with industry giants like Subway, Sony, and JetBlue, crafting marketing strategies that deliver results. As the host and co-producer of the hit 950 Lounge radio show, Kevin has built a platform that has become a staple in the entertainment and media space. Now, with the launch of 950 Media LLC, he's taking things to the next level, creating quality content that's redefining the media landscape. Join us as we explore Kevin's incredible journey, his insights into ever-changing media world, and how he continues to innovate and inspire. Welcome to Crash.
Brother, where I send the check at, man? That was hot, man. Damn.
Listen, I learned from you when I first went to your show. You gave me like the dope intro, and I was like, damn, that's good. I didn't even know I did that much stuff.
Lo and behold, but before we start, I want to say I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you and your power, your beautiful wife, you're a power couple, you're doing it. And this is something when we first met, you said this is what you want to do, and you're making it happen. Fantastic studio.
And that was like, what, over 8 years ago or something like that?
Yes, it was a minute. And
then I met up with you and your partner. I met with your partner, and he was like, yo, you would be dope in this space.
Right.
And that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And
but you're doing it now.
I just had to jump out the window.
Yeah.
I took a lesson out your book, out of Damien's book. And shout out to DWI.
You crashing the industry, brother.
I'm doing something. I'm doing something.
Crash the industry.
So you're called the LeBron James of the radio game.
Right.
If your radio career were an NBA game, what was your biggest slam dunk moment for so far?
Well, you know what, man? You know that dunk that LeBron did with D Wade, and D Wade does this.
Yeah.
That's me, because again, from a standpoint of making the play, the basket, but also being the assist.
Okay.
Really, my background and even how I got into this thing is so. It's so far-fetched, because I have been in media for many years and had no interest in doing this type of stuff, did college radio and all that other stuff, and had no interest in being involved with this. My brother Rodeo, who you know from the Nafi Lounge show, my birth brother, my older brother, people don't believe that because I'm so much more serious than him. But nevertheless,
he got eyebrows.
Yeah, he's Batman. he go to beautician. But in any event, he came to me and it's like, yo, I'm trying to help my comedy. So what should I do? So I'm like, yo, why don't you get a show? Now this is like 2013, 2014. The evolution of podcast and streaming had not really taken off. Obviously we had radio and we had different things, but it had not become the boom that we're living in today. And I said, why don't you just do a show? But unbeknownst to me, I did not want to be a part of it. I said, I'll help you set it up. So we started doing some stuff, and it just didn't work out. We were, just like a barbershop making jokes, just cracking jokes for 2 hours. And while, it was funny, I cringe when I see that video, because it's just like, that's not quality. And I was about ready to give it up. I said, bro, you on your own. And one of my former clients in the media space had reached out to me on, at the time, Twitter. And, you know how it is. If you're doing something well, you have no problem telling people. When something sucks, you're not having that conversation. Yeah. So, I was like, she's like, hey, how you doing? And I don't know why I mentioned I was doing a show. I can tell you right now, Shanti, I had no idea. Why did I even say that? I typed it, clicked send. I'm like, why did I send that? And she was like, yo, would you be interested in doing an interview of a celebrity? And I'm like, yeah. So we were using this circuit, again, I'm showing my age. It was a thing called radio loyalty.
Okay.
And you can only service like maybe 400 listeners. And we had this artist on, and we blew that out in like 5 minutes. And I said to myself, maybe I've been looking at this the wrong way. At the time, we were doing it at a friend's house in Mount Vernon. I'm like, yeah, 3 black guys in the house in Mount Vernon. You want to bring guests here? It's going to be Get Indicted Radio. So that ain't going to work. So I pulled my brother aside and said, look, I think if we're going to make this thing work, I got to take over this thing. He said, I've been waiting for you to say that. So then we decided to let's put some money in, invest. That's when I got with DSN, DWI, big shout to him. And we was like, yo, we didn't know each other, but we grew up in the same neighborhood. I'm a few years older than him. We grew up in the same neighborhood, knew a lot of the same people, but we just never connected. And then we just got our thing going, and we kind of brought a program that I think was unbeknownst to what was happening. It was a combination of conversation, topics, celebrity interviews, and we just grew it from there. Fast forward to 2018, we're doing a show, and we interviewed a very, at the time, obscure, run-of-the-mill politician, or wanted to be a politician, by the name of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Okay.
Nobody knew who she was
AOC.
then. AOC today was just Alexandria then. She came into the interview. She had a camera crew following her. We did the interview, did a great interview. 6 months later, 3 months later, she wins this election. Out the blue, she wins the election. 6 months later, she has her Netflix documentary. So I get a call from somebody like, yo, you on Netflix? Netflix? Like what I'm on. If somebody get robbed and I ain't get arrested, so what type of interview I'm on? What type of thing I'm on? I said, no, AOC. And then the producer reached out and said, yeah, we used your interview over the Breakfast Club and over Rosenberg, Rosenberg and Ebro, and you had the best connection. And we just kind of took off from there, from getting opportunities with some bigger networks to getting bigger guests. And then just the evolution just started to flip after that interview, and it was kind of crazy. And that's, we've gone from there today. And we're looking at one point to kind of get picked up. Because when we first started, it was like, hey, we're going to build this to get picked up. But after we, had some contracts, and I've been in media for many years, I know what a good contract looks like. I'm like, well, I ain't Kunta Kinte. We ain't doing that. Yeah. So we're going to stay independent, and we're going to do our own piece, and we're going to continue to grow it, make our own money, and become the show we're supposed to be. And that's where we are today.
Like I started off not taking it serious either. On episode 1 through 4, I'm in shorts. My shirt collar's hanging. I'm like, I'm just showing up to talk to one of my friends. And then as it started taking off, I'm like, yo, I gotta get a little dressed. I got to do something a little
I
different.
was going to wear a suit. I had a suit on earlier. but-
I swear to God, I had a blazer with the brown shoes. I was like, because I know Sue going to dress up and Kev might come with a turtleneck. I don't know. So
I was going to come suit out. You know, I've been up since 4 a.m. I had a couple of meetings in Jersey, but I said, nah, let me go home. Let me go casual, yeah.
So what was your wildest or most memorable moment you've experienced on 950 Lounge?
That's a great one, and it's funny. We're putting together like a 950 Hall of Fame. It's two. I can't give you one. I got to give you two. First one is when the first time we had Heather Hunter on the show. Now, you know, listen, I was trying to get Heather Hunter for, you know, obvious reasons. Some of the younger people probably don't know. Who the hell is Heather Hunter? You go Google her. But I had reached out to her. She had no interest, and I sent her a personal note like, please, Miss Hunter, it'd be a pleasure to have you on the show. So she finally decided to come on the show. And what made it memorable is that we were talking about Tupac and her relationship with Tupac, and she started crying, and it was emotional. And you know, that was one of the first times me doing interviews where people really got open and just like they felt so comfortable they can talk. And we built a friendship because even to this day, I've been to her house for New Year's, and we built a friendship. The second one was Lilo Bencato from Bronx Tale, and the reason why Lilo Bencato was such a memorable one is because he was the first guest we had to pay. And it wasn't because we had to pay him, it's because his parole officer said if he's gonna leave Yonkers, he's gotta get paid. And that interview was detailed. I said, look, man, I wanna talk about the rise, the fall, and the redemption. And he said, listen, I'm an open book. And that interview hit like TMZ and a few other outlets, and that was one of the interviews I felt like, you know what, I can do this. And I can do it at the best of them. Like, there's nobody out here that I feel like I gotta take a back seat to. And it was really from those two interviews because they became emotional. It just wasn't conversations. People got open and comfortable, and it was like raw emotion. So those two stand out, but I have a bunch. I mean, the AOC one stands out. Having Jamal Bowman, Congressman Jamal Bowman on the show, Michael Bivens. You know, a lot of them stand out, but those two in the pantheon of interviews stands tall.
So if you could invite any three people, past or present, to be guests on your show, who would you choose and why?
Dead or alive, or just?
Yeah.
Well, number one would be Muhammad Ali. My father, rest his soul, was a big Ali fan. And obviously from a boxing perspective, just from a life perspective, like people at the end of Ali's life loved him, but they hated him during his life. You know, as a man who stood up to the government. Listen, when you lay on our taxes, we start getting shivering. So imagine this man, you know, had everything, but said, I'm not going to fight a war. So Ali would
I'm not going to fight your war.
Your war. Thank you for clarifying that, yes. Number two would probably be President Obama. Again, another trailblazer. Somebody that, you know, I remember when he first won the primary, and people were making jokes. They're going to be having barbecues on the White House or, you know, grilling. But somebody of that nature that, you know, I'm sure he had everybody digging in his background, and the man was just brilliant. You know, whatever your political beliefs, from a standpoint of just being the first is hard. And probably number three, and something I'm truly working on, is bringing on Mr. Primetime himself, Deion Sanders.
That would be dope.
Yeah. Again, another trailblazer, somebody who's probably been good at everything he's done, but it's also had transgressions with school and previous marriages and things of that nature, but really overcoming that, being able to train his kids from a football perspective and really love on and nurture young men from a sports aspect, I think the ones, and we're working on that.
He's molded that crew.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
He molded them. It was a beautiful thing to watch. They said for their team to not be the top of their division like they were the most researched football team in the league.
Yeah, must-see TV. And again, like I said, it's like the great Barry Bonds said.
But think about what I'm saying. They were the most researched.
Yeah.
And they had coaches trading information to beat them. That's how powerful he was with what he was doing with those boys.
Exactly. It's a situation where they love you or hate you, but they're going to watch. You know, like the great Barry Bonds once said, you know, whether you love me or hate me, you're going to still watch the show.
And they couldn't wait till he lost.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. It was so sad to see. Like, are you waiting for these young men to lose or him? Yeah.
And obviously, as we're doing this, the Heisman Trophy now awards show is Saturday, so I'm really hoping they don't hurt Travis Hunter, who's a top player on Colorado, using Deion as the reason why they don't vote for him. But I think he'll win the award.
He should.
Yeah, no doubt.
You work with major brands like Subway, Sony, and JetBlue. What was the most creative or unusual campaign idea you ever pitched?
Subway. That one sticks out. That's probably one of my biggest marketing wins. I used to work for Groupon. I did national sales and marketing for Groupon. And Subway, obviously, is a franchise. So, like, there's corporate, like they had the Charles Barkley commercials, or that's corporate. But just like a car dealership, it's franchises. So I did a deal with the New York Franchise Organization of Subway about 2,200 local Subway sandwiches. And the key was, obviously, in busy New York, where people can have many options, why would they go to Subway? Why would they choose to go to your sandwich place over the local deli, over a burger joint, over whatever?
Yeah.
And we put together a campaign where, from a Groupon perspective, was to drive marketing dollars. So, for instance, having a 5-pack. So you pay for 5 sandwiches. Well, it's 5 days a week. You're not going to eat all 5 sandwiches in a day, but you got to come back in order to get that. Get that full deal. And every time you come back, you're going to buy a soda, you might buy some cookies, you might buy some chips. So I'm giving you continuous promotion, not to mention if you're somebody in a situation where, hey, it's a Saturday or what have you, a weekend, or you got the kids, you don't feel like cooking one night, they're so comfortable. Again, we talk about advertising, but we're talking about conditioning. People are conditioned. We buy things because we see it. I'm wearing these shoes not because I love. Probably I saw somebody and got comfortable with it, even though I know why I brought it. I don't know why I bought these expensive shoes. But nevertheless, the same thing with sandwiches and business is that we get comfortable with something, it becomes second nature. So the key was with that deal was to have people continuously come back because they paid for this up front. You get paid as the business owner up front. So they're paying for 5 sandwiches in one buy, but they got to come back and they got to keep coming back to buy all the accessories, right, the sodas and stuff. So it was a genius move, and it's something that I still keep in touch with some franchise owners. I'm trying to get them to sponsor 950.
That was a dope marketing plan.
Yeah.
It was genius.
Yeah.
So if 950 Media could produce any type of content without budget constraints, what's your dream project?
I want to do documentaries. Like we just started this new thing. I mentioned this to your wife, 950 Media LLC. It's not just me. My partner Mike was here, Rodeo, Backstage Ed, Steph Pearl, the whole team. And I want to create documentaries. 950 Lounge is an autopilot. We do that. That show has been around. We only going to continue to grow it, but that's there. But it's almost like Wu-Tang. You're a music guy. We got the group. Now we want to spawn off, right, and create different things. So now my new mindset is creating content for the generation Gen X and late millennials, where it's not the stuff you see. You don't need you don't need me for like trash. I want to create content that's going to stick to your ribs, that's going to make you think, entertain, and inform. Similar to the same thing I do with 950. Make you think, entertain, and inform. So just on a larger platform where it's not just me. So that's where I'm at now, coming to 2025. It's all about creating content and creating new visions and new viewers. Even your lovely artist and her mother, talking to her about pay-per-view options. I know we've talked about that. So that's where I'm at now. Like I want to get back to my roots. Obviously, if people know me, even sitting with my brother, I didn't want to be a part of the show. So now I want to get back to behind the scenes and creating stuff. Because I think that's, as much as I enjoy the camera and the mic and doing this part of it, I love to create it from clay and create a masterpiece.
So you like the building part, you like the process.
Yeah,
And then
I like the erector set, yeah.
Once you get it to where it's like, okay, we're good, it's on autopilot, let me go over here.
It's time to do something else, yeah.
So as a New Yorker, where's your go-to spot in the city for brainstorming and coming up with your next big ideas?
That's a great question. Wow, that's deep. I would say it used to be, when I was a kid, I didn't have $1 in my pocket. I would just get on the train, take the 2 train all the way down to Brooklyn, or take the D train to Coney Island, take a walk, come back. 2.5 hours in the subway in New York City, you have a whole type of stories. But I think now for me is the beach. I don't live too far from Orchard Beach. The water does something for me. It's a mental cleansing where I can go by the water. I don't care how hot, how cold it is. I can sit there for 15, 20 minutes, and the line of work I'm doing allows me that flexibility. and I'll go by the water and think. I get it from my mother, because my mother's always taught me about nature, trees, grass, water, being one with nature, being one with the soil. And I think for me, going to the beach, sitting in the water, sitting by the water, not going in the water, I ain't going in Orchard Beach water, but sitting by the water and cleansing my mind, it's like a palate cleanse. And I think that's where I get my inspiration, I get my refocus, and I get my thought pattern to be great.
That's great. I don't even have nothing to respond to that with.
I get, Mama, I made it, Mama, I made it.
So, if you could trade places with any media personality for a day and do their job, who would it be, and what would you do?
Wow, that's serious. One media personality that would, I'd probably say Stephen A. Because I'm doing a sports show now. Even before 950, even before all this stuff, sports was always my background. The first word I ever wrote was pro. I wrote it on my bedroom wall. My mama beat my ass on it because I wasn't putting writing crayon on the wall. But that was the first word I ever wrote. And I think sports has always been part of my background. I played football, had some cup of coffee with some opportunities that, my knees still ache to this day. So if I can pick a media guy, it's probably Stephen A. Because I feel like, I see these guys and, again, doing 950, I know I can do what they do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think, again, just being able to have that ability to talk sports, talk a kid's game for a king's ransom, to be able to have the accessibility to go to locker rooms and tell stories. And I think that's kind of like, when I think about, like when you mentioned that question, I think about how am I looking to evolve and keep growing. That's the next phase for me, because now, like I mentioned, it's an autopilot, so now it's the sports show, now it's other things. So Stephen A. Smith, are creating our own version of a Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, and you could put your own twist on it.
Oh, without question.
Before we get out of here, what's your hidden talent or unexpected hobby of yours that might surprise people?
Hidden talent. You know what? I'm a great singer in the shower. I can't sing nowhere else. Trust me, I can't put two things together. But I can't cook. I wish I had a talent there too. I burn toast and would destroy popcorn. But I think, again, for me, when it comes to talent, I guess it's just, I would say, acts of service. I love helping other people. I feel like I've gotten that years ago. One of my mentors once told me, because I wasn't always just polished. What you sitting here is many years of trial and error.
I'm practicing learning from y'all.
and I'm still trying to learn at this stage of the game. But he always said, hey, listen, all I ask is you pass it down. I don't want nothing back from you. I don't need no thank yous. Thank you is passing it down. And I really try to touch everybody. Honestly, when I can help, I don't just interject help. If I can help somebody, I really try to help. Like what you and Sue were saying, that's warms my heart, that type of stuff. But for me, it's just acts of service. If obviously, if people don't know, like, it's not about me. The pie is big enough for all of us to win. And I really believe that we've, as a people, we've built this crabs in the barrel mentality. And it's like, it's enough for everybody. Everybody, I mean, with all this content and everybody, I don't even watch regular TV no more. It's all streaming, YouTube. It's all like, on-demand stuff. It's enough for everybody to win.
Absolutely.
So I'm big on, like, hey, listen, I'm not the know-it-all. I'm still learning, but if I can help, that's kind of my hidden talent. Like, people wouldn't know, like, if they saw me. Because I think sometimes on 950, I bring off this crash persona, but I'm really kind of a quiet individual that's all about giving.
Got you.
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, tell the people where they can find your shows, where they can reach you, because you like the help, how they can reach you and watch your shows.
Now you got to pay me, but I'm joking. You can reach me on Instagram, Twitter at 950kev, a.k.a. LeBron James, the radio game. 950 Lounge every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern in most markets. You can go to Backstage Radio Primarily Network, because that's the home network. Listen to the show. You can also watch 950 on Nubian TV. Go to Nubian, www.nubian.tv. My new sports show, working with DSN on it, DSN on sports, and I got a KP Unplugged happen in January. It's another kind of sports lifestyle program. And look out for some other stuff that I really can't talk about now that, might have your boy growing the ensemble. But again, 950 Kev on Instagram and Twitter is the best way to reach me. www.950lounge.com to learn about the best team in radio, 950 Lounge.
And that's a wrap, and we'll be back.
Happy holidays.
Welcome back to Crash the Industry. Now get ready to meet the voice that's bringing R&B, real R&B, back to the forefront. Destiny Nicole, this rising star is redefining the genre with a powerful blend of old school soul and innovative modern sounds. Her sophomore project, Just the Beginning EP, is a true milestone, showcasing her depth, her growth, and undeniable artistry. Under the guidance of Silent Success Entertainment and the legendary CEO Rufus Black, whose credits include hits for Destiny's Child, Jhenéaiko, and Salt and Pepper, Destiny Nicole is on a mission to revive the essence of classic R&B while carving out a sound that's uniquely hers. Join us as we dive into her journey, her music, and how she's shaping the future of R&B one soulful track at a time. Welcome to Crash the Industry.
Thank you so much.
How you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm glad to see your journey over the years.
Thank you.
You have been grinding, you've been working on your craft and growing, and I just want to say it's been great to watch that.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're here to like notice it and be on board. You're on board.
Yes, like what happened, we were trying to figure out who we were going to get. We were seeing if Kev was going to bring somebody or if Sue was going to bring somebody, and then my wife goes, "What about Destiny?" And I said, "Oh, that's right, she's dope as f."
Shout out to Nat.
Yeah. So that's when I was like, all right, let me see if Destiny's available. And as my first guest said, the best ability in this business is availability. And you just was like, on 3 days' notice, I'm ready. So your music blends old school soul with modern R&B. What personal experiences or emotions inspire this unique fusion of your sound?
I guess today's like, you know, I don't know how to explain it. I think, you know, today's like the way the world is with, you know, the violence and, you know, the way that love is today is extremely different. Love today isn't what, you know, it was back in the days where, you know, you seen your aunt and your uncle just two-stepping together and embarrassing, you know, your cousins, right? Or your mom and your dad, you know, like loving on each other, mwah, kissing each other in the living room, listening to Whitney Houston or, you know, Genuine, you know, like it's not like it was, you know, back in the day. And it's like, I still have that in me. You know,
Okay.
I'm very old school in my music. You can see, you know, I did drop a project called Just the Beginning. It's my sophomore EP. And you can see a little bit, you know, where I'm trying to just bring in like, yeah, the modern R&B, you know, vibe, but also like old school R&B vibes, and to still be okay with talking about wanting to be in love.
Right
you know?
now, there's like a movement to bring that feel and sound back. I don't know if you noticed online, like you got Jermaine Dupri and all of them. They're really pushing to bring that
no,
back.
R&B is definitely not dead, and I don't know who
it's coming back hard.
I don't know who thought that it was, you know, dead or dying out. Let me just tell you right now, it's not. It's coming back. Y'all want real music? We're here. We got you. Okay? Like.
So your EP, Just the Beginning, feels like a turning point in your career. What story are you trying to tell with this project, and how does it reflect your growth as an artist?
Vocally, you can see like the growth. You know, I feel like my previous project, it was just like, you know, like to showcase what I can do, and, you know, like the little pop vocals, little R&B vocal. But with this project, it was more of like just telling a story.
Okay.
You know, personally experiencing, you know, like what it's like to have seen what love is like, you know, back in the day, you know, with two people being together and, you know, it not working, and then them still being friends, you know, not talking about each other or talking bad about each other afterwards, like they do today. And how like friendship can still be there when, you know, things don't work out.
You could just talk about it and get over it.
Talk about it. You know, I feel like with my records is more of just like a closure to like what I want.
Okay.
You know, what I want for, you know, myself. It's a storybook. If you really listen to it, it's like a real storybook.
So working with Rufus Black, who's been like a part of so many iconic careers, must be incredible, but what's the most valuable lesson you learned from working with him so far?
Oh my God, there's way too many. But I think to be true to myself, listen to my heart and my gut, and never let somebody else dim my shine.
You can't let nobody dim your light.
At all. No, you can't. You can't let somebody's opinion, defocus what you got going on. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, you have your opinions and stuff like that. But who's to say that, like, what I feel isn't gonna like take me to the next level, or like just. It's crazy.
So how did that partnership come about with you, Rufus, and your record label?
So it's crazy, right? Because he's my cousin.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't know that.
That's how it happens.
I didn't know that he was my cousin until, I was doing Creative Space events with Jay Hatch, may he rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Hatch, yeah.
And through him was, we were doing the song camps. It was like a 3-day thing. So like the first day you were doing, there were panels. So you had like celebrity guests or celebrity producers, songwriters, A&Rs, managers that would come and they would educate you on what the industry is looking for, right? Or how you can take yourself to the next level, what you can do to, make your content better and how you can reach your audience a little bit better. Then the second day you was paired up with producers to actually perform. I mean, not perform, but to like record a song. It could be a hook, it could be full record. And then the following day is the actual like competition where you play your records in front of the judges, and then you obviously win. There's like prizes to win and stuff like that. You get like free trip to the next Creative Space event, But when I did that with him, with Hatch, it was when I met Rufus.
Okay.
And he was like, I don't even know that you knew, but like during there, like I knew that you were my cousin. I just didn't think that you knew that I knew that you were my cousin. So I was like, that it's like such a small world how that works.
Absolutely. So R&B is known as an emotional depth and storytelling side of music. What's the most vulnerable moment you've ever shared in your music, and what inspired it?
I think you guys will have to listen to the records, because it all connects. There's a whole storyline, and it's still being told. It's a never-ending cycle. But if I could give you a record that would basically, it would be Real Love from just the beginning.
Okay.
You guys, you'll be hearing that.
We look forward to the performance with that.
I'm excited to
so
sing.
Many artists say that their music is a reflection of who they are. How would you describe Destiny Nicole, the person, through the lens of your songs?
I try to be as humble as possible. Don't.
I hate that word, humble.
No, but sometimes you have to. You have to. Why not?
You just said you don't want nobody dimming your light. When you look up the word humble, it means to lower yourself so that people don't feel like you're towering over them. Look up the word humble and what it means. It's not a good word to be humble. The messed up word that you should look up is narcissist. Narcissist is the word that you want to be, because narcissist says that you're deep into yourself. And to be an artist and make it to the next level, you have to worry about yourself.
That's true, but at the same time, it's like, if you're just focused on yourself, like...
Even to be a business person, you have to be crazy.
It's going to be so lonely.
You have to be crazy about your craft, right? Because in the beginning, a lot of people are not going to believe it.
Oh, no, I am crazy about my craft.
So that's the point
I am
of it.
crazy about it.
There should be nothing humble about you expressing yourself in your music to the world. So you got to take that humble out the vocabulary.
Touche.
You understand?
This guy.
So with so much nostalgia tied to classic R&B, how do you balance honoring the past while creating something that's authentically you and new?
I feel like it has to always do with like the producer and the connection that, the type of producer that you're working with. It's like you go into a session and you have an idea already and you have a vision of what you want. It's just, is that producer going to be able to bring my vision to life, But I feel like I lost my train of thought once again.
It's okay. It's okay.
I lost my train of thought.
Before we wrap this up, what would you tell the next artist who's finding it hard to continue their craft because we're all in trying times?
I feel like you have just keep going. There's always space. There's always space. If you're actually, you know, taking time into what you do and you really genuinely love this and you're not just doing this for a check or you're not just doing this for a hobby, I feel like I don't know how to answer that.
You got to take your time and grow.
I don't know how to answer that because it's just you want to be humble about certain things. You want to be humble and you want to like not make yourself be like, hey, I'm this and I'm this. Excuse my French, but I feel like it's all about the connections. It's all about the connections and how you feel like you can relate to the audience. And you know, if it moves one person, it's gonna move somebody else. You know, it's just keep going, don't stop, don't take no for an answer, and just light up.
Got you. So before we get out of here, tell everybody where they could reach you, listen to you, your projects that's out, and what's coming up.
So you can find me on Instagram at I am Destiny Nicole, IamDestiniNicole. I have my project that's out. It's called Just the Beginning. It's my sophomore EP. We have Real Love music video that's out right now as well. And we got new music coming out. New music, new visuals, new era, new everything. I'm glad that, you know, Just the Beginning gave me what it did. But yeah, we're
out of here.
We're out of here.
And with that, we're going to get to the performance.
Bodies intertwined all night, night long. And I've been begging for your love, boy. You know that I can't get you out my mind. You're one of a kind. Have to make you mine. Ooh, I think we could work it out. Ain't nothing to talk about. I know what I want right now. You know that I can't get you out my mind. Start as friends and see where this thing ends. Yeah. Told you what I want, told you what I need, and I told you all the ways to get to my love. It's the only way I'll get this letter to you. Get you in my mind, you're one of a kind. Had to make you mine. Ain't nothing to talk about. I know what I want right now is you. Yeah. Way too fast, it's crazy. Won't give up on you. My love can be so bittersweet. I can be a little much, but I mean well. This you could tell, yeah. I can be clingy, just a bit needy, yeah. Oh, but if I gave you my heart, would you still love me endlessly? With no regrets, no holding back. Would you still love me endlessly? 'Cause I still want love, real love, still never leave my side. Do you still want love, real love? I'll never leave your side. Can we fall in love, babe? You have toxic tendencies, but I don't mind 'cause I try to fix you up how I need. Just told you, boy, I won't give up. This could get dangerous. This shit is serious. Ooh, oh, but if I gave you my heart, would you still love me endlessly? With no regret, no holding back. Would you still love me endlessly? I still want love, real love, still never leave my side. Do you still want love, real love? I'll never leave your side. Can we fall in love? Can we fall in love, baby? 'Cause if I still want love, you still want love. Can we fall in love? But if I gave you my heart, would you still love me endlessly? With no regret, no holding back. Would you still love me endlessly? I still want love, baby. Would you still leave my side? Real love. Can we fall in love? Can we fall in love, baby? If I still want love, you still want love. Can we fall in love, baby?
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Cav, Sue. Come on, mama. You come up here too, mama. We ain't got to get the BTS. She killed that. And that was another episode of Crash the Industry. I want to say thank you, Sue, Cav, Destiny, Mama Destiny. And shout out to the queen who runs the show, Nat, doing the BTS.
Yeah, you better
Appreciate
give her
you.
a shout out. You get that
We in season 2. Crash the Industry. Thank you.
New York, New York, what's up, New York? Listen, we in New York, right?